and it has to go renegotiate at that point. But we've started losing programs. Other towns around us have started losing programs. We don't want to see programs lost. We don't want to see positions cut.
I have to say, you know, excuse me, all due respect, but to say that is misleading. When you say we have a 4% cap and we gave our teachers 5%, that doesn't mean salaries went up 5%. You may say we've increased our salary pool 5%, but you take away all the money you save when old teachers retire, replace them by new ones, with no replace position, known as breakage, it didn't actually go, you may give 5%, and all you have your salary go up by 3.5%. So to say that it increases by 4%, and we went above it, but we didn't look to renegotiate it, that's misleading. It might not have gone up 4%, but you have all the breakage during that contract.
And there's other factors.
Right, I know there's other factors, right.
So,
to say that is misleading.
I mean, 2 years ago, our health care costs went up 25%. You're all aware of that. And that was absorbed. So maybe that's where a lot of the breakage money went to.
Right, yeah, I had transferred my salary accounts into the benefit accounts in order to pay the 25% increase, which we didn't anticipate. We anticipated between a 10 to 15% increase annually, because that's usually what it runs. And then we got hit to 25, and that was a lot of dollars that we had to come up with, 300,000.
But still, you'll get more contribution from your teachers than any other district in the county. So you suffer less of a hit than every other district in the county.
So we had to operate with our
Right.
budget rather different than another.
But we know, we're going to air, we should air everything.
And those budget transfers are, we approve them when they happen as part of our agenda. So it's public information, you can see
Right.
where, when we do something like that, where it's happening. In the back,
Lisa Woodring, Long Valley. This has been really cool listening to the great forum. I think we're all finding out some information, and at the risk of going further, I would just ask, is there a way that you could succinctly tell us the difference between the budget increase and the tax increase? Because I don't know myself. I don't understand it myself. I know that
you're going to get a long answer.
It's a long answer, and respectfully want to decline, that's fine, but
no.
I want to ask a question about where the money goes, and it
like
goes to tax relief, so I'd love to know how that all gets done.
I'd like to give it a historical perspective, in fact, because for years, we built our budgets based on a percentage increase on the expenditure side. And when Corzine was governor, he changed that to be an increase on the revenue side. See, as long as we could increase on the expense side, we could raise taxes all we wanted. Now that you put it on the revenue side, what's happened, that's where this cap really hurts from a standpoint of saying, now my expenses keep climbing, but I only get to raise this much revenue. And so the 2% is based on what the tax levy is to each one of our municipalities. And that's our source of funding primarily. We do get a few dollars from state aid, but primarily it comes from our property tax. And if you cap that, and these continue to climb, that's where that gap is, the gap that exists for this board to deal with, as well as every other board in the state.
Okay, one more thing though, because I know that the teacher over here had asked the question. When you have money left over at the end, June 30th comes, you have money left over, it has to go to tax relief. But what am I trying to say? How does that get back to the taxpayer, I guess is what I'm asking. Or how is it that you can't use it the following year? What do you have to do with it?
Because I can raise the taxes and I've got these expenses over here. That money that I had from the prior fiscal year fills in that gap for me. It's surplus dollars that are utilized to keep the tax cap at 2%. And I know it's complicated. I'd much rather have a chart to show you because the words, it all kind of goes over people's heads. But that's what it is. It's a way for us, the board has been able to, over the last several years, when this 4% came into play, I believe that the Finance Committee recognized that they wanted to have a soft landing with that, meaning that they knew eventually all they could raise their budget by was going to be 2%. Right now, they can raise it 2% and whatever money they had left over from the prior year. And so this fiscal year, we rolled over $1.8 million. Next fiscal year, it'll be about $900,000. And I'm anticipating the following year, it'll be about $400,000 that we can roll forward that helps offset those increases in expenses. Does that help?
Yes, so reaching the 2%, if the 2% continues, it's going to get harder and harder and harder, and
It's going to get tighter and tighter.
it's tighter. I think it's great that the teachers are here, and all the teachers are learning this, and I'm learning it. I really wish there were more parents here in the audience learning about this, because I don't think anyone has any idea how that all works.
Jeff Doyle, West Morris Regional teacher. I'm concerned with our approach to passing last year's budget. I voted in the district as well. I know our theory at that time was to kind of spread the wealth a little bit and cut from here, cut some teacher position, cut the pain, spread the pain, I should say. Cut some teacher position, cut some other elements. And I think that a silent majority of parents did not show up because it didn't seem like the cuts were going to be that significant. And maybe what we need to do is take another look at how we approach where those budget cuts unfortunately come from. We have to look at some big things so that we're not dealing with the type of issues we're dealing with here. Hopefully more parents will recognize the importance of that.
Actually, perhaps Mr. Thomas could take testimony from the teachers and how these budget cuts impacted you as far as workload, class size, the increase of going from 21, 22 kids to 30, the effect that that's had on your ability to teach, the type of testing you might have to administer because you had such an increase. Because if they get a sense of the physical impact on a daily basis, because you're right, if they don't have a student in the school, they don't have a sense of that daily impact and the effect that you can only stay after school one day and we don't have these after school buses. So some kids cannot stay to play the field hockey with the fencing because they can't get home because we can no longer transport them. If you could help us with that, because you're right, they don't have that full understanding of what really counted to us, and it wasn't that big.
I think what would be good is just let the people know how much money they saved. The Observer Tribune printed it, that each tax-paying household, by voting down the budget, saved about $12 a year. And I know I told my students that, they said, what? My parents spend more than that at the Black Horse Inn. And, $12 a year. I don't think a lot of people voted down the budget even realize that. They thought it would be big savings.
Right, you're right.
I think Mendon Township was the biggest savings. They saved $24 a year.
The black one.
Yeah, right.
That's in the borough.
Thinking good.